When Leon was born, I was like about 50% my energy into raising him and 50% into my work. But when Celine was born, I have to be like 100% all into both of my kids. Yesterday was like the first time that me and my wife had a chabu together in the past 4 or 5 months.
Does Leon ever get like jealous if you spend too much time with Celine?
Oh yes, of course.
Oh, how do you navigate that?
You have to love your first child enough so that it spills to the second. I still live with my mom and dad, and my wife came into the house. Right now, what I feel I have to do is making my wife happy first, because she feels like she's the minority here, because like it or not, they're gonna be like this. I have been raising you like 30 years and you're still like this.
Yes.
Do you think I'm doing okay?
Yeah.
Yes, of course you're doing okay, but the world is changing.
So we interviewed basically 241 people. What are you most worried about for your kid coming into this Gen Alpha? What are the skills that you're worried that they don't have? You know what the top one is actually? Is 63%.
Ooh.
So, BoomTharis.
Hello.
Welcome. You're well known for your YouTube channel, real estate, review, food, and all the lifestyle and everything. Guess what? We're not going to talk about any of those today.
Please.
I would like to see, and we would like to see a different side of you.
Okay.
The side where you are a parent.
I'm so excited to be here and talk about this because for all the shows that I've been through, it's always talk about the videos, the stuff I do, but not this. This is the topic I want to
I think that's one of the most important skills out there to be a parent.
And I also want to learn more about this too.
Actually, I'm hoping to learn more from you today.
Okay.
Because here's what I heard. You have 2 children right now.
Yes.
Sorry, one is 2 years and 9 months.
Yes.
And the other is 4 months old?
Yeah, beautiful child.
So you have 2 children.
Yeah.
And guess what? I have 1 right now.
Okay.
And right now I'm on the verge of deciding on whether or not I want to have a second one.
Oh, come on.
And so my
Kevin.
question to you is, why?
Why 2? Or
Why even have a second one?
I cannot answer that question, but I'll tell you like this. I would have more than 2 if I have 2 things. Time and money, and not in the sense that you need a lot of them. You don't need that much. It depends on your lifestyle, by the way, but you need to have enough that you can spread it evenly among your children. The resources, the everything that you have, especially the time.
I'm going to tell you my experience, all right? So basically, when I have a first child, it was a life-changing moment. After I got married, it's meh, it's another day. We've been together for several years. You get married, you got a ring on your finger. It's the same thing. After you have a kid, because like the first few months, the kid doesn't sleep. As in like they wake up every 2 hours. So you're pretty much awake all the time.
Exhausted.
And being a husband, sometimes I feel pretty useless. Because like the kid wakes up for breast milk. And so when the mom wakes up, what are you doing? You're up and you're just like emotional support or something. I'm just like, oh, you're up. Okay. And then we go through that journey for the first few months. And then I think on the first, second year, 2 years old, I'm pretty sure your kid is starting to ask why all the time. And there's that terrible too. So it's just a lot of time being there. So
a lot of energy as well.
I can't imagine having a second child. Like when one is asking you why, the other one is crying and you're not sleeping. You're waking up every 2 hours and you just don't have any freedom. So it's just really hard for me to grasp the idea of having a second child.
Okay.
What gave you that decision of having a second child?
So do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got an older sister and younger brother.
Okay. I also have 2 older brothers. So my family is like, I don't know about the rest, but my family is like very close to each other. And I grew up, I always play with my brother, and also my cousin, and also my uncle, who is actually like about 3 years older than my brother. You know, we are from Chinese family.
The extended family and all that.
So if we are counting the kids head count from my generation, it's about 10, 12 people. Yeah. So I feel like having other kids to share your life with is very nice. And maybe we are also lucky that when we grow up, we still help each other in our work, in my shows. When I started my YouTube channel, I have all my family members in my videos, and we're like hanging out together, go to restaurants together, and traveling together. And I feel this very deep connection with all my brothers and sisters. So maybe that's where it came from. That's the decision that I think I want to give my child a sibling, a brother or a sister.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like the reason why I would give maybe a sibling, like a second child, is just because I want my first child to have a companion or someone that they can rely on when they grow up. And play together and all that. And also my daughter has always said like, I want to be a big sister.
Okay, that's so sweet.
Yeah, the other day I was playing with her and I was like, Bella, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she's like, I want to be pregnant. And I'm like, what? Where did you learn that from?
Okay.
So I'm like, I told my wife that, and I think she took that as a hint. So right now we're just on the verge on deciding on whether or not, but it's just so much freedom taken away.
Maybe she felt like she want to nurture something.
Yeah. I think she's playing with her friends. She likes to take on the big sister role and all that. Does that happen with your child as well?
Not yet. I think he is very sweet with his sister. When he woke up in the morning, he will be like, he will go to his sister's cot and pull out the net, and then
so sweet.
He was like, good morning, Celine, something like that. And he would just poke her with his dolls and like, okay, Celine doesn't want to play this anymore. And then he would just throw away, and then he would just go the other way. But, he's kind of sweet.
I know 4 months.
I love their interactions.
I love that. I know 4 months is still too young to tell, but can you start to tell a difference in personality between the two?
The girl is more sensitive to anything from what I've seen. She's more like susceptible to crying, loud noises. And there is this strange connection between them. In my house, there are several kids, like my brother's kids, and when they cry, my daughter didn't react. But when her brother cry, she will like cry with him, something like that. I think that is as far as I can tell.
For now?
Yeah, for now. Because the rest, they're like very similar in the sense that how they feed, how they sleep. My wife, she has a note about Leon's milestone. Leon is, by the way, the firstborn, and Celine is the secondborn. She will take notes about when Leon can do something, his new ability, when
like a new milestone.
The new milestone. And when I compare them, it's like very to the similar time and age, when Leon can roll from back to tummy,
Right.
He was like about 4 months, and Celine also do that about the same age as well, and how they sleep, how the amount of the milk that they drink, it's about the same. So I feel like they are very, very similar.
Does Leon ever get like jealous if you spend too much time with Celine?
Oh yes, of course.
Oh, how do you navigate that? That's pretty hard to...
Let it happen. Yeah, I think when the second child is born, actually what the parents should do is pay very close attention to the first child. That's what I feel. Somebody teach me this. You have to love your first child enough so that it spills to the second. Jealousy doesn't happen only with the child, with children. It also happens in adults as well. For example, if you're in a group of friends, maybe you have your one of your best friends that you are very close to each other, and then you have a newcomer who comes into the group, and then suddenly everyone shifts the attention towards the new guy. Somebody is gonna be jealous, and it's normal, and it also happens to kids as well.
So let's say you're reading your second child a storybook.
Yeah.
Like, what would the first child be doing?
You have to read them together. Yeah. Like, for example, if the mommy is feeding the second child and the first child comes into the room and he might be asking, "Mommy, can you pick me up? Can you,
Yeah, what do you do?
What you have to do is like, you put them together. Like left arm and right arm,
Right.
Yeah. But you have to try as hard as you can until your firstborn knows that mommy is like having a hard time. So, and he will eventually understand. But I think what you shouldn't do is you refuse them. You should not refuse to him or her. What you have to do is like you include them all together in every activity.
Yeah, that actually, a lot of parents are telling me that once you have your first child, your second child is easier. But this sounds like having a second child is also a life-changing experience. Was it life-changing for you?
Yes, of course. For my wife, she says the difference is not that much. But for me, when Leon was born, I was like about 50% my energy into raising him and 50% into my work and my stuff, But when Celine was born, I have to be like 100% all into both of my kids, So the dynamic is changing. I have to reprioritize all of my things, all of my time, all of my resources so that I can spend time with them as much as I could. But for my wife, she was already all in with her children since the first day, since the firstborn. And when the second child came, she was like, I was already in here. So it's not very much different.
So that's actually part of the thing that I was worried about is that like if I have a second child, how are you going to be able to balance your work and your life? Because you got your channel going on.
Yeah.
You got to go out. You got to take content.
Yeah.
And it's not a 9 to 5, right?
Yeah,
it's like a full
like 24
day,
hours.
24-hour type thingy.
This year might be the first time that me and my wife has discussed about scheduling our life. This year might be the first time that we need to have some routine with our lives. We have to design what our week gonna look like. Previously, when Leon was born, it was like still manageable, Still like, okay, I have to come home early to play with him or to, wake up in the very early morning to feed him or whatever. But it's still like during the daytime, I can still go to work or something like that. But when Celine has come, the schedule becomes very tight. I have to really get it planned. Like, what am I gonna do on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday?
Wow.
And what day of the week are we going to have like our own dinner together? Like for me and Jane, my wife.
Right.
And what are we gonna do in Saturday and Sunday? Saturday maybe family time, and Sunday maybe half family, like half day for the kids and half day for ourselves. And we have to plan even like which day of the week we will gonna have dinner at home or dinner outside. So so we can make our life more routine. Yeah.
I'm actually feeling that already, having only one child.
Really?
And that is like the most like tiny things you have in life. Where do you eat? Where do you want to go later? Things that you can previously just be impulsive. Just be like, let's do this. Let's just do that.
It
now
doesn't happen anymore.
Right?
It doesn't happen anymore. It's like yesterday was like the first time that me and my wife had a chabu together for like in the past 4 or 5 months.
Oh.
Yeah, but because then yesterday we go out, we went out together actually for work, but
it was still for work
actually
anyway.
for work, but it's like very once in a while having dinner together.
You really treasure those moments. Don't
the
akong and ama, don't they like come in and help?
Yeah, of course they help a lot, but they have like 5 kids to help.
That's true.
You know, because my brothers also have kids. So it's like they are also have to adapt their life as well.
Actually, let's talk about that because you're from a Chinese family, right? So do you have like, you're in a Chinese extended family? Do you all live close together?
Right now, one of my brother and I are living together, and also my parents. My oldest brother, he lives in another house, but he always come visit every weekend. So we're still hanging around together.
Do you guys still have the Chinese core value? So for instance, I'll give you an example because I'm from a Chinese family as well. When I was younger, my dad would say, "Oh, Kevin, you're going to take over the family legacy because you're the firstborn male of the family."
Okay, no.
Do you still have that?
No.
Or would you impose that on your kids?
Not really. My parents, they don't force me to do anything. What they only teach me is like the bond between family members are like unbreakable for them. And I still hold that thought as well. I still value it that way. Okay, in reality, it's breakable, but
give or take.
Yeah, give or take. I really felt that all of my family members, like also extended family, you know, they're like these people are like very special people to me. We truly feel that these kind of connections, you cannot find it anywhere else. So maybe this is the only values that has been passed from generations to generations.
I agree. If my daughter ever has a close immediate sibling, like a brother or sister, I think that's one core value that I probably would insert in my family education as well. And that is, you want to be nice to your brothers and sisters because when all else goes wrong, at least there's someone like bloodline. The bloodline is strong, basically.
The bloodline is strong.
Yeah. I can't explain rationally why, but it's just something that's within our core values since the beginning.
Maybe it's like, someone got your back when it comes to, family members.
Right. Speaking of that, has there ever been a case scenario where maybe your family member disagrees with the educational method of the decision making with your wife? I had that before.
Okay.
And it really put me in a pickle because I'm like,
because
what do I do?
You're in the middle.
You're in the middle.
Yeah. It happens a lot, actually, because my wife Jane, she is very, very into parenthood. She always learn about how to raise your kids, how should you give your child education, when should be, like, for example, when should be the age that he is allowed to watch the screen. Yeah. And when this child, when they are fighting each other, how do you gonna resolve this and these kind of questions? She's always like studying about this and always having conflict with my father and my mother.
Right.
And eventually it's like we're gonna sit down and talk. It's just like that.
Can I use this as an example?
Okay.
So for instance, my daughter, we have a 15 plus 15. So 15 minutes screen time.
Okay.
Plus another 15 minute, like a break in between, another 15. So that's 30 minutes per day. She's 5 years old.
Okay.
When she goes over to the grandparents just like, YouTube, boop.
Okay.
And it's like 2 hours.
2 hours.
So she comes back and be like, yeah, I got 2 hours of screen time today. And my wife gets incredibly mad. And so I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what to do. What do you do?
I have to do two things. One is I have to explain to my parents about why I don't want you to do this. But while I'm doing that, I know I'm not doing because of me, but I'm doing because of my wife. I'm doing in her stead to explain to my family.
You're like middle management.
Yeah. But and the other things I also have to explain to my wife about why you should let this go.
That is so hard. That is so hard.
It's very hard, but at the end of the day, you just talk. You just talk it out. Do you still live with your parents? No?
No, but we're very close. We're like 3-minute walking distance.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think mine is a little bit different context because I still live with my mom and dad, and my wife, came into the house.
Okay.
So right now, what I feel I have to do is making my wife happy first because she feels like she's the minority here, because all of the rest of the house is my family. So I think she needs somebody to stand by her. So that's what I'm gonna do first. But I also explain to her a lot of things about why my dad do this, my brother do this, my mom do this. Like it or not, they're gonna be like this, and you have to accept it as well. But right now, I'm gonna stand for you because I know you also need some support. That's what I talk to her.
Right.
Something like that. So sometimes it's not what I really agree with, but I still do it for her. Yeah.
I think it's tough because, especially with the Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Because I think the world has evolved so much. Like let's say a decade ago versus now, raising a child is
like
completely different. With the existence of technology and all that.
The philosophy.
Right? Everything is different. So I think there's bound to be something new coming.
And all your parents gonna say like, I have been raising you like 30 years and you're still like this.
Yes.
Do you think I'm doing okay?
Yeah.
Yes, of course you're doing okay, but the world is changing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something my parents keep telling me that. Yeah, I raised you. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like I have experience. Don't worry.
I've been doing this for 30 years.
So speaking of Gen Alpha skills, I actually have a list over here. If you just take a look at the piece of paper. So this is a list of skills that so we interviewed basically 241 people.
Okay.
And we were asking people, what are you most worried about for your kid coming into this Gen Alpha? What are the skills that you're worried that they don't have? So can you pick your top 3 and tell us why?
So the first thing is kids don't ask questions and cannot answer questions.
I love that one.
But actually, I don't really care about cannot answer questions. There's going to be so much ways to answer questions in the future. But I think the most important thing is they know the questions they want to ask. They know the problem. I think that's going to be the first thing that they need to learn to survive. Because, right now you have AIs, everything, and all you have to do is ask question, but you need to ask the right question, So I think that is one of the most crucial skill.
What would be the right question to ask? As in what do you mean like asking the right questions?
It's kind of similar to when you face some problems, you need to know first what is the problem. And, And the way to know that is asking question. Like you want to do something, but you cannot do it. Where do you start? You start from asking questions. You start from finding the first dot. And I think the first dot is so important. You need to have some clue, to know where to ask, what to ask, who to ask, something like that.
That's so interesting because that's completely opposite of the traditional Asian education.
Yeah.
Where you have many kids in one room.
Yeah.
And they're taught to not ask questions. Not really not ask questions, but more like you have to respect your teacher.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of kids, they interpret respect as just not asking. Because the moment you ask, you're like the smart ass in the class. Like, hey, stop asking the question, blah, blah, blah. And I think later on in like newer generations, especially this Gen Alpha, they started doing question-based learning. They start to have group projects and all that. And that's the trend that we're in right now.
Yeah.
But for most of like the most traditional education, we're still taught to not really ask questions.
It's still finding answers, right?
Yeah. It's just like listen. Like
listen.
Just listen and just absorb more information.
Okay.
So it's so interesting that you should say that because I do think it's one of the most important skill as well.
There was some saying that you give somebody a fish or teach them how to catch a fish. Right?
Yes.
Right now you need to teach them to ask the fisherman,
We're one step above.
Yeah. Because you don't catch your own fish anymore, but you have somebody catch it for you, and you have to like know how to seek collaboration. I think that's one of the most important skills. I think in the coming future, like if you do something on your own, you can do it as far as you're good at, right? But if you can find collaborations among people, it's gonna take you so much further. So I think that's what I'm gonna teach my child to do. To seek help, to know where to go.
Right.
And seek for your help.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it on your own. You should know where you can mine that resource. That make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I get it. You want to utilize your resources.
Yeah.
Ask the right questions.
Yeah.
So that you can basically enforce your vision on the things you want to do in life.
And also because I think the society is going towards collaboration.
Right.
Like if you look at businesses, corporations, they're not like doing on their own anymore. It's like brands collab with other brands, companies collab and also, talk to each other as much as it never happened before,
Right.
So I think that's where the world is going.
I actually have a piece of paper here that shows the survey results. And for those that's watching, go ahead and pick your top 3 and see which 3 you got. Let me know in the comments.
Okay.
All right, let's see. So you picked... Now, obviously, this is not going to add up to 100 because they each picked 3. But let's see. You picked kids asking the right question. Oh, that's actually 6.7%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that actually shows the value of like the current trend in I think in Thailand. Yeah.
Is it?
It's towards the lower end. It's towards the lower end.
Okay.
But I actually agree with you. It's a very important thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you the highest later. But go ahead and pick your second one. What's your second one?
The second one is actually the kids can't solve problems and make decisions for themselves. I think it's a classic problem. I mean, it's a classic thing to be worried about your kids.
Right.
Because all the parents want their kids to solve their own problems, right? I mean, it's the classic one. So I think this one is gonna stay forever.
That one is actually 56.7%.
Right? Okay.
Wow.
That is the classic one.
Don't you think it's a little bit interrelated, interconnected, that you want them to be able to solve problems by asking the right questions. Right?
Yeah.
And then that's how you start.
Yeah.
There's, I think the same is true with my kid as well. Like, I want them to be able to solve, I wouldn't say like they have to solve everything themselves, but it's more like you want to have a mind of your own as opposed to just completely be reliant on other people.
Yeah. Like you have independence, like how you think.
Because I think with this generation and with this current trend, the thing that we lack the most are people that can think independently and out of the box, as opposed to just being like maybe a corporate slave or maybe just someone that blindly follows order.
Maybe
that's
because
where the trend is going.
Of the social media as well. Because, it's like if everybody has been...
you want to say brainwashed, right?
It's something like that. But it's like when somebody is doing something differently, it's like they're also always being judged and everything, And so they're kind of afraid of being different in a way. I mean, it affects the kids.
That is very hard to educate, though. To educate your child that you have to try to think of a way to solve your problem. Do you currently do that?
What I try to teach my child is actually I don't try to teach him as much, but I try to give him love as much as I can so that he's confident enough to, make mistakes.
Right.
And he knows that somebody is gonna be there for him even though he make mistakes. I think that's when you want your child to doing something differently, being independent and everything, they need to have a very strong foundation, which is love, family connections, and the sense that he or she needs to feel that he is safe enough to make mistakes or to do whatever he wants, and somebody still root for him.
I love that. I love that. That's what I aim to do as well. Is to provide them with like a safe cushion should they fall. But we want them to go out there and face society.
Because we cannot force them to do anything anymore. Like especially in this age where he can learn somewhere else.
Knowledge is everywhere.
He doesn't learn from us as much, but he need our love.
I love that. What about the third one?
The third one is this one. Kids lack curiosity and a self.
That's the same one I picked.
And a self-initiative mind. But it's kind of go into the similar theme, right? Curiosity, asking questions, solving problems. It's kind of the same.
To me, the way that I did it for my daughter is that a lot of times, even though she didn't ask, I would tell her anyway, no matter how complicated the thing is. So she would ask questions like, why is there a rainbow? Or what is air? Or why do I have a fever? So it doesn't have to be like super scientifically accurate, because my point is not to give her scientific knowledge, but my point is just to give her the general logic of things. So for instance, I would tell her, there are germs in your body and they're fighting. And if the good germs are winning, then you will be healed. So at least there's a degree of logic there. And so
that's
when she starts approaching other things, naturally she's going to want to ask why. Because she got an explanation to everything and now she wants to know. And
because there's always the answer.
And so when there's something that there isn't an answer to, she's going to want to ask why. And that's how I develop her curiosity.
And then she's going to start learning on her own terms.
Yes. And that's what I hope to achieve. And I'm pretty sure you're doing the same thing.
I'm trying to.
A lot of parents is just like...
but right now he's always asking why, and I don't have any answers sometimes.
35 whys in 1 hour, seriously. We timed it once.
You counted?
Because I was working and my wife was like, they were watching a movie or something, and I'm just like, you know what, this is fun, let me just try. And my daughter's like, why, mommy, why? And then I think that my wife just said, because
Okay.
mommy said so. I'm like, you can't say that.
What I feel is like when Leon asks why, sometimes he doesn't need an answer. He just need your attention.
Yeah.
He
Totally.
just need to hear your voice.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know what the top one is actually?
What is it?
Is 63%. Kids can't control their own emotions.
Ooh, okay.
That's a huge one too.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I think it's important, but what I feel is like they're gonna be able to control their own emotions eventually when they grow up. I think it's totally normal for kids to freak out, to have emotional breakdown, because the chemicals in their brains are still not matured. And I think if your kids are not freaking out, that's totally abnormal. Yeah. Someday they're gonna be able to control it anyway. That's what I feel. But it's not that I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
But when they are breaking down, what I try to do is like I try to give them hugs and try my best to reflect their feelings. Is this what are you feeling right now? You're feeling sad, right? You're feeling angry, right? And you don't like that mom and dad do this. You don't like that I make this to you. Okay, you just say it, okay? And I'm trying to tell them it's okay that you feel that way. And because adults also becoming emotional as well.
Right.
So I want to say it's okay that you cannot control your emotions sometimes, but someday you're gonna be fine with that.
Yeah. I think the point is that with controlling emotions, it's something that if given enough care and explanation is something you can develop.
Yeah.
Whereas being curious and asking questions, that's a personality.
Yeah.
And that takes a long time.
Yeah, that's
right?
more
I
difficult.
completely agree.
That's more
I
difficult.
completely agree.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important skill that's not on this list
Okay.
or on this list for the Gen Alpha for a happy and healthy kid in this current generation?
Wow. Maybe they need to know to give some love to everything around them. Not just somebody, but the world, the small things around them. That's what I always teach my child. And actually, it's coming from my wife. She always says like she wants our children to be, to know how to love people and other things, and also be loved by somebody around them. Because I think if it's in the business world, it's kind of like empathy, Yeah. What you guys usually say in the, self-improvement, podcast. It's trying to understand people, to put yourself into other people's shoes. And I think might also be important too.
Oh, that is actually extremely hard because these days the education is getting increasingly competitive.
Yeah.
Even in schools.
You will always be taught to compete.
Yeah, like my daughter always asks me like, who wins? Sometimes I'll be like, nobody wins. She's like, why? Like there's no point.
Yeah. And also sometimes you don't have a winner or a loser. You just need to be together. I think that's so hard to, the concept.
That's a great point. I think that needs to be like a joint effort between parents and schools.
Yeah.
Because your child, he's going to be spending like 40, 50% of his life in school. So actually, that leads me on to the next question. Are you looking for any specifics when it comes to the education of your child? Is Leon currently in school?
This year.
This year?
Yeah, this year, but not yet.
So what are you looking for when it comes to schools? Let me clarify that because actually I was working for my parents' school for 5 years.
Okay.
I was there. It's called Central International School. Great school. Go check it out. So what I learned during that time was that there are two extremes of schools.
Okay.
One is the creative type.
Okay.
So those are less educative. Sorry, my bad. Less academic.
Less academic.
So like they focus less on quizzes, tests, and vocabs, anything that's quantifiable, and they go out to the nature. They let kids, be in the kitchen, cook, all this. And there's the other extreme that hypers focuses on academics.
Okay.
Right? Quantifiable things so that when parents ask, what did my child learn today? They'll be like, well, here's a report.
Okay. Theories. And
there's a spectrum in between.
Okay.
Where are you in that spectrum?
Right in the middle.
Right.
Yeah. I'm totally the balanced guy. If you ask my wife, she's going to be a little bit towards the academic side because she is like that. And she's kind of find her comfort zone in the academic world, But I am the adventurous one. Actually, I am a bit more towards the creative side.
The creative side.
What I feel is the important thing is like right in the middle. It's like you have to be so balanced, like between both, because you don't know what's going to come next. You need to be able to adapt. I think the ability to adapt is so important. Yeah.
Oh, I like that point because we don't know what's coming, especially with the rising trend and everything.
Yeah.
So it's better just to stay in the middle and
right
navigate and adapt.
Yeah, because humans has been developing tools to make the hardest things easier, right? In the next few years, you don't have to draw a picture yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to write an email. You don't have to calculate your own formula and anything, but you have to be able to harness those tools into your survival,
Right. Especially with like the growing, like it's the trend is so fast growing. I feel like with the existence of AI and everything.
Yeah.
The past 5-6 years is like completely different from the
like
previous
totally.
like 10, 15
and
years.
it's going to be so much difference in the next 5 years and 10 years.
Right.
So that's what I'm looking at when I seek education for my child.
So like, okay, this is not me trying to promote the event or anything, but like
Okay.
from one parent to the other parent, I actually do think Gen Alpha Summit is going to, because like what it is, the idea is pretty cool. It's by Super Jew and then it's also by The Standard.
Okay.
So basically what it is it's a stage where you have a lot of guest speakers talking about different aspects of parenting. And then you also have workshops, individual workshops where parents can experience like the things. So for me as a parent, I think it's quite essential that we join and there's no harm, right? You just want to expose yourself to maybe a trend or maybe a skill that you weren't exposed to previously. Because when I became a parent, I realized, I didn't know you could do it that way.
Learn.
Right? There's so many things to do. And so I think like a hand-on experience and just by listening to like maybe more of these podcasts or more of the guest speakers, it actually brings in like a new perspective, right? So I think these sort of summits, like it actually helps a lot. So last but not least, as you know, that this show is called Kanidi.
Okay.
So we would love to hear your favorite word.
Wow.
And let's start with you speak a little bit of Japanese.
Oh, I'm so little Japanese. So little. So little.
Let's give it a try. What's your favorite word in Japanese?
Japanese? Okay. Hold on. I don't know why, but this word stuck in my head. It's called hikari.
Hikari.
It's mean light. Light.
Oh. Just like light.
Light.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of nice. It's kind of cool.
Why is this stuck in your brain? Do you have a childhood
Maybe
memory of it?
I watched too much anime and and I like this name. By the way, I learned Japanese from anime games.
Oh, that's
Pokemon,
how most of us learn it.
Yeah. And what I found fascinating in Japanese is like the names. I like all the Japanese names, And one name that struck in my head is like this, like hikari.
Hikari.
Hikari, it means light and it feels nice. It's kind of, when you say this word, you feel like there's sun rays.
Oh, okay. Sometimes it's just the vibe of the word.
It's a vibe.
What about in Thai?
In Thai, my favorite word it can be a phrase, right?
Sure.
This one also has been said to me like when I was about 15, 16, and it always like stays in my brain, which is เดี๋ยวมันก็ผ่านพ้นไป which is it's eventually goes away. Anything, happiness, sadness, your life, your age, everything goes.
That's a great way to
Anything
deal with
goes.
things in your life.
Yeah. And it always like when you're so disappointed or you're so happy about something, it's gonna go away. And yeah, it struck me.
I love it. And finally, last but not least,
In English,
I would love to hear the word.
In English, this one has been like this is the first thing that the first phrase that I came up with. Actually, it's not that much, but I like this one. It's coming from Star Wars, actually. Yeah.
Let's go.
From Yoda, Master Yoda.
Let's go.
Who taught me this? It's do or do not. There's no try.
Oh.
Do or do not. There's no.
Explain it to the younger generation, please.
It's actually literally what it says. When you choose to do something, there's only two choices. Do it or not doing it. The trying is like, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. When you're trying to do something, you already do it. So there's no try. There's only do and do not.
I love it. I love it. I would love
Yoda taught me this. George Lucas taught me this.
You gotta say it in a Yoda accent, you know?
Yeah.
So I would love to talk more, but unfortunately the time is up.
Okay.
But it has been so great having you on here.
Thank you for having me.
We love your insights in parenting.
Thank you for having me.
And for those that's watching, please go follow him on his YouTube channel. The link will be there.
All right.
And don't forget about the Alpha Skills Summit. It's a very great summit, like we mentioned, and we'll see you there.
โลกเปลี่ยนเร็วเทคโนโลยีไม่เคยหยุดรอและ Gen Alpha มากกว่า 2,000 ล้านคนทั่วโลกกำลังจะโตไปกับโลกอนาคตโลกที่เราอาจไม่เคยรู้จักมาก่อน The Standard และซุปเปอร์จิ๋วชวนมาเตรียมพร้อมสู่โลกแห่งอนาคตในงาน Alpha Skill Summit 2025 งานสำหรับพ่อแม่ผู้ปกครองและผู้ขับเคลื่อนการศึกษาที่มุ่งสร้างอนาคตที่ดีขึ้นให้กับ Gen Alpha ผ่าน 3 วันเต็มครบทุกเรื่องที่ต้องรู้ 7-9 มีนาคม 2025 ที่ไอคอนสยาม